Hello, good evening. How are you doing? I can say that I'm doing pretty well or pretty good. I know it's proper to say well, so I do try to use correct grammar when I can, but it doesn't sound right when I say pretty well. It's got to be pretty good when you say it that way. I don't know. I had more or less an uneventful day. The thing with being a nurse is we really don't have an issue with finding work. So I've already started with different interviews. Nothing for sure yet on things. I've already turned one position down just because it wasn't a good fit for my family. But yeah, I'm pretty optimistic, and I'm enjoying the time with family and being home and all this good stuff. So let's see, bear with me here. I'm going to pull my group up. But I was able to run some errands today, and I ran by Pathways, and I was very proud of myself. I walked right in. I got a pendant that I had mail put off to the side for me, and I didn't even look around the rest of the store, and I was able to walk out. That is actually a very challenging thing for me. Usually when I go in there, I like to look around, and I especially like to chat with people who work there. So, and one of my random milestones for today is I haven't had to take any medicine. So I've been taking Mucinex to help with this cold that I think pretty well gotten over. I mean, there's still some congestion left, but I haven't had to take any medicine today. So that's an accomplishment. I picked up some stuff for supper. Let me see. And then, yeah, really that's like the gist of it. And of course, doing stuff in our group. So it's just been like a really chill day, nothing crazy. So yeah, so I'll keep you guys in the loop as to how that pans out for me, So feel free to share with me what's new with you. And I will every so often look over at my laptop just to kind of see, if someone comments. I'm going to go ahead and light some of my favorite incense here, the cinnamon. You guys know I love this stuff. Cool. So got that going. So for those who joined me tonight, we're about to take a little bit of a deep dive into one of our major arcana cards that we covered some time ago, way back when I very first started doing the tarot teaching moments, which is the moon card. And I stumbled across the spread from Sasha Graham's book, 365 tarot spreads, which is what I've been using. And of course, you see all the little bookmarks and so forth. Very nice, chunky book. I would highly recommend, if you're looking for inspiration or different spreads, to get this book because it's probably the best that I've encountered. I do every so often pick books up and I'll flip through them. Sometimes it just seems like it's kind of like overkill, or not very well constructed, maybe a bit too simplistic, I think there's one book that I did look at. It was like 1,001 spreads or something like that. And I did flip through it. And I'm not saying it's not a good book, because that's a subjective statement. But it's not like Sasha Graham's, where you've got the facts and you've got narratives and you've got all these various spreads that accompany all that. So I really like the hard work that she put into this book, So with the moon card spread, so as of August 13th, which is coming up, it says, on this day, ancient Romans celebrated Nemoralia, Festival of Torches. on this day. And I do have my Coke with me, so I'm still going to be taking swigs just to help with my throat. It honored Diana, goddess of the hunt, the moon, and birthing. Adopted by Catholics as the feast of the Assumption, worshippers carried torches to the dark waters of Lake Nemi, where the reflected torchlight intermingled with the moon's light. The summation of the spread. Let me get a little swig of Coke because I shouldn't already be having to do all this. I just love how the carbonation just rips down my throat, you know. So, summation of the spread. It says, Diana's connection with the moon makes this the perfect day to explore aspects of the moon tarot card, whose symbols inform the questions of the spread. And she says, as you cast your cards, you may use the spread to answer any question. Form your question before casting the spread, or simply let the cards answer the questions posed. Pull the moon card from your deck, placing it in the center of the spread, which I already went ahead and did this before I started the go live, so I don't have to hunt for it. So I'm going to put that in the center. It says to cast your cards around it as follows, for a total of 8 cards. And of course, each card will cover a different aspect of the moon. And so she says here as well, offers to the goddess Diana on this day included small messages written on ribbons and tied to the altar or trees. Small baked clay or bread statues of body parts in need of healing, clay images of mother and child, small sculptures of stags, dancing and songs and fruit. And Sasha says the moon reflects changes and transformation, be it the metamorphosis of a werewolf or the tidal pull of the ocean, nothing remains the same. And for those who have this book, I am on page 233 if you want to reference what we're about to do here. Put my book over here. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera pointing downward. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I am using, for the sake, because I wanted to have the OG Rider-Waite-Smith card. You know I love my other decks, especially the Witch's Garden. It's been a current favorite, but I wanted to go back to the classic. That way, as we go over the different symbols, I can point to those on our card, okay, for reference. And of course, if you need to brush up on it, you can find all of my tarot teaching moments on YouTube. So, and that would be under Mountain Crow Tarot. So I'm going to get a good shuffle. And I would simply ask Source or Spirit, what does our group need to know? Because you know that's the thing with the moon card, we don't have full clarity. With this card, it's like not knowing what's real, what's not real. We may not have that full illumination on our path, you know. It's very much more ominous, you know. Okay. And that feels good. So now, let's see here. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So the way I've done this, because again my altar space, I only have so much room on my table, given everything I've got going on, which is honestly quite a bit, you know. So let me see if I can find a good place for my cards here. because I always make sure I keep them in case we ever need clarifiers. It's with any reading I do. And so as I do this tonight, I'm going to work over from, say, here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's how my current setup is, and that's with the moon card in the center. So now I'm going to go ahead and flip them all over. Okay, all right, very cool. So the first card here, let me turn my camera a little bit, would be, it would stand for the dual towers, which on the moon card, you see that we have 2 towers, one on either side. So the question that I'm about to say from Sasha's book is in reference to those towers. And the question is, what false towers have I built? And for this question, we have Judgment. So with Judgment, this is one of those cards that really gets us to thinking, doesn't it? So when we look at this, I know it just depends on, intuitively what you see might differ a little bit from mine, and that's totally okay. But generally speaking, with the Judgment card, it's dealing with how we carry with us all these various issues with our past failures and mistakes, things that didn't turn out well, and it really impedes us on our path. And there's got to come a time where we face these issues, we give ourselves space to think and reflect and feel any type of discomfort or pain that comes from these issues, especially seeking medical help as appropriate. That's why we have counselors and psychiatrists and their support groups, also as well your social circle. So you don't have to go through these things alone unless you choose to. And I say that quite frequently. It's a decision we make. But there comes a time where we can no longer compartmentalize these things, right? But what we do is in the interim, until we face these false towers head on, which we see here in our moon card, they're just barriers to where we're trying to go, if that makes sense. We don't know if there's anybody in these towers. You see these windows up here? Are they going to impede us from leaving our current situation and crossing into, say, going down the path and going into something new? That journey that I alluded to with one of my cards that I interpreted for our group this morning, it is dealing with our issues, right? And it's the rest of our lives. I don't think any of us ever have it in us to never have issues. We're flawed because we're human, and of course we have baggage and issues, but it all comes to a head. We have to face it, right? And even though it's unknown, uncertain, there's feelings of vulnerability and discomfort, it's something that has to be addressed, right? Because it's just like it might start on the ground level, but the more that we don't deal with our own issues, it keeps building onto itself, building, until eventually we essentially have the tower moment where lightning hits and it crashes down, right? So think of the towers like that. But what the beauty with the tower card, which is one of the cards that we actually got for this spread, is you take what's left from the rubble and you build again, So I really like that that's what we got for our first card. Let's see. Our second card stands for the dog, which is in the picture. So here we have a dog and a wolf. So now this question is going to address this guy. And the question is, what is the loyal, responsible thing to do? And it would be the Magician. So if you remember, because I know it's been a minute, when the Fool started off on their journey, that's a 0, right? Like an egg full of potential. And then the next card is 1 for the Magician, and the Fool encounters this gentleman, and they have each of these suits represented around them, and there's a mastery, as above, so below. And he has a conversation with the Fool, okay? You know, he probably told the Fool, you know, we're just building a narrative here. Hey, I know you're bright-eyed, optimistic, you're all down for this journey. However, you know, where do you think you want to go on this journey? Because there's tools that you're going to need that we need to go over. So this could be like a mentor of sorts, right? Do we have the appropriate tools and knowledge for our journey? So as far as that question, what is the loyal, responsible thing to do? And this is when we revisit the first card, which is dealing with our own issues. What I see here is seeking someone who's a bit of a mentor. Maybe as somebody who's been through something similar, you know, comparable to what you're currently going through in life. That could be like, hey, you know, I remember how that felt. I've been there before. You know, or it could be like your best friend. It could be a parent. You know, it's somebody you know that has got your back, you know. But again, tarot never replaces professional or medical help. So again, with the medical realm of things, and with me being a nurse, you guys know that's where my mind's at, because I think like one, even if I'm not working as a nurse. It's just, it changes your mind forever when you become one. There is nothing wrong at all, you know, if it's your physical health that's bothering you, you've got medical conditions that are out of hand, maybe you need to see a doctor, you know, and get that help, and then they can equip you with what you need to ideally, you know, get more so in control of these issues to where they do not block your path. Our mental health, again, becomes our physical health. So, you know, do you need, you know, a counselor or a psychiatrist, you know, to kind of hear your viewpoint and to give you their own? Especially if you find a person who truly cares and is really good at what they do. This is somebody who would be like a magician. And ultimately help equip us to get over this huge tower that we built from having our own issues that we carry, right? Because by the time we get to the moon card, I mean, the towers that we've built, and there's 2 of them, are quite substantial. So it's going to take some time for those towers to get knocked down, you know, and that takes time and patience. So the third question is in reference to the wolf, and here is the wolf, which is right there. And I almost try to fly away from me. And the question is, what is my primal urge screaming for? And we have the Fool. And again, you see a 0, again, just like an egg full of potential. And you know, like our Fool is very youthful, optimistic, you know, they're just setting off on this journey. They're about to take the leap. And of course, there's a little dog by its side, you know. The primal urge, I believe, in reference to this question, what is my primal urge screaming for? I think it's a new start. I mean, myself included. You know, how many of us on a daily basis wish that we had a new start? You get to thinking back in your life, what if I had done this? My life might be different. Or present tense, what if I go down, say, this trajectory instead of another one? You know, what am I doing with my life? You know, and what baggage do I need to leave behind that weighs me down? And what do I really need? Which I imagine after the conversation with the magician, the Fool as far as this spread goes, has more of an idea of what is really needed in that bag, right? After having a conversation with the magician. So ideally, with how this story is developing in our spread, we know we've got some issues we need to work on. We sought out the help in some shape or form, okay? And now we're off to that new beginning, setting down this path and feeling very much revitalized, renewed, optimistic. We have the sun energy here, very illuminated, warm. We can see where we're going. And even if we don't know how our journey ends, we're more than willing to take that leap and start anew, especially being that we're not carrying so much baggage with us, right? So I really like that. The fourth card is in reference to the moon. And with the moon card, you've got the sun and the moon. So this is referencing the moon here that's inside our sun. And the question is, what does intuitive clarity tell me? So another question or way of referencing that would be, what does my intuition tell me? And for this, we have the Ten of Swords. So when I say this, like I know, the Ten of Swords is the end of that suit. That's when somebody, they're just done. They're beyond exhausted. They're to a point where they've got just too much on their plate. Like, this person literally looks like they have been stabbed to death. There is no way that somebody could impale themselves with swords this many times. This could have been done by someone else or a group of people. It's very possible we gave them the swords that are now sticking out of our backs, going down into, say, our bottom. Even here, it looks like it's possibly into the neck or by the neck here. And you see how the person who died, they're not looking toward us, they're looking toward this bright opposition. So here we have all this water, all this emotion. The mountains stand for obstacles. Here we have this yellow, but see all this darkness above the swords. So to answer the question, like, what does our intuition tell us with this spread, which is the story it's presenting, is there is definitely time for change because our insides feel like this. Again, from all the baggage at this point in time, we got the help through the magician. We started off on our new journey after getting the help that we needed with the Fool. And we're doing this because our intuition tells us that, hey, this is not a sustainable course to be on, So I think that's good. And I think despite feeling so raw and vulnerable, that this person is looking like they're taking into consideration, yeah, there's water involved, there's emotions of vulnerability and pain, right? But looking to a brighter day. Despite feeling this darkness kind of coming down on them and feeling overwhelmed and vulnerable by it, and knowing that there is a brighter day to be had. So I like that we got that card as well. Good evening, Mom. It's good to see you on here. I announced earlier on when I first started my Go Live tonight, I haven't taken any medicine at all today. I've been doing better. I still have some of the congestion, but I'm doing a lot better than I was. So I'm glad to announce my cold is being done with me a bit quicker. Sometimes colds can go on for a long time, But anyhow, enough about me. We'll keep going because I'm a chatterbox. So our next card, which would be the fifth card in this spread, stands for the sun. So here, our moon is all about that watery intuition, and now we're about to delve into the sun. And the question is, what harsh reality exists? And we have the Empress. Now this can go many different directions, okay? The Empress is the mother of tarot. Okay, she's from the major arcana. Now, say of some of us, this could stem back to childhood. You know, if you do not have a good relationship with your mother, or, you know, if you lost your mother, and say if you only had your father to bring you up, and they had to be both a mom and a dad, that would be very hard. Or if the mother had to be both the father and the mother, that's a hard role to fill. And I am very grateful I haven't had to be a single parent, because I don't know how single parents do it. I honestly don't. That could be part of it, with that frustration of, you know, how do I put this? Not having a strong foundation, say from childhood, that follows you through adulthood. It could be also, have you been shown kindness and love in such a way in your life to where you're able to be kind to yourself and nurturing of yourself? Because if that did not occur, if you're, you know, if we're unable to do that with ourselves, then how in the world are we going to love and be kind to other people, right? So that's like a harsh truth that the sun would illuminate based on the moon card. Again, some very heavy issues with that. And then it kind of goes into maybe things weren't so perfect growing up. You know, our Empress in this card is surrounded by luxury. Behind her, there's these green woods and a waterfall. And there's like this beautiful, like, wheat that's in front of her, and her legs are open, like most Empress cards are, because again, it's the mother. Maybe this wasn't the picture of things growing up. Maybe your family may have had it hard and didn't know all this luxury, and if they're in survival mode, wondering how they're going to put food on the table and pay the bills and make ends meet, you may not have had a parent that was available a whole lot, if they had to work a lot, you know. And again, I'm just generally speaking. So my mom is on here. Mom, this has nothing to do with you, I promise. I'm not trying to allude to you at all. I'm just talking about generalities. So if we didn't have this environment growing up, that could be part of why we're so hard on ourselves, unable to let our failures and mistakes go when you try so hard to overcome and to survive, and you're in survival mode all the time, that many people don't know what this feels like, you know. So that's an interesting card, I think, to get for that. My mom says, I have your runny nose. Sorry, Mom. And my throat has been getting sore, so I think I got a touch of it. So I'm going to take some medicine for it, and I believe I'll recover. It's one of those summer colds. I know, Mom. That's why I wanted to make sure you were okay with me visiting, because you know how families, you know, give each other colds. I'm sorry to hear that you caught my cold. I'm hoping that you have a speedy recovery. You'll have to let me know, has Belle been sleeping? Has she reverted back to her normal schedule, or is she still keeping you up? And I'll just keep chatting about the spread while I wait for you to write me back on that. So our next question would be the 6th card, which is for the pool. And here is the body of water that it's referencing here. And the question is, what does my subconscious mind contain? Now, our subconscious is generally something we're aware of when we're dreaming. A lot of things that we might even suppress. If you guys haven't noticed, that it comes up in your dreams. That's why, honestly, it's a good idea to keep like a notebook by your bed and jot down keywords immediately upon awakening, or even put them in your phone. And then later look up the meanings of the symbols, which you can buy a book to do that. I'm sure you can Google it. And even more so importantly, intuitively think, you know, what the rationale is for the symbols that you see. But a lot can be derived. And so that's a way, through dream interpretation, we actually tap into our high priestess energy a bit. But getting more so to this card, what does my subconscious mind contain? We have the 4 of Swords. And this is the card of rest, where somebody essentially hangs up their issues and problems, which take the form of swords. And they have to take that break and rest and replenish and heal. Their problems are not going anywhere. But if they don't make themselves a priority, then it's going to be at an additional cost to them. Does that make sense whatsoever? That's what we're talking about. And I like with the stained glass, it does have a religious context because it looks like a church's stained glass. But we have somebody, and it's almost like they're getting a blessing from, say, a priest. But either way, it's somebody that's getting a blessing or some sort of help from somebody else. And then here we're seeing that person resting, and you see how the hands are together like they're praying. So I also see leaning into somebody's faith, not just sleeping and getting rest, but leaning into your faith. It's okay even when I've taken care of patients in the hospital setting, and there's been many a conversation I've had with people over the past 13 years of my career where medicine and science only do so much, and the rest of it you leave to God. I don't care what people call their God. To me, it's all the same. We're talking about source. So I have prayed with people, and we have talked about, say, the Bible. Okay, and I'm not going to get on here talking about religion because it's one of my rules. I'm not trying to push any religion. Okay, everybody's got what they've got for their belief system, and it all has value and beauty to it. You know what I'm saying? But there comes a time where there's certain things you can't do. You're not going to have an impact or a change on. You've done the best you could. You're taking it a day at a time. And so you give the rest forth in prayer. And you'll be like, God, I'm really feeling vulnerable. I give this. Please help me see my way through this burden. Help guide me, comfort me. That's also part of this too. So healing takes various forms, okay? So I can see why we're getting that for this. What does my subconscious mind contain? Again, that's a nod to that restful dream state. That's where we're going to see a lot in our subconscious about the things that we carry with us, the things that are eating away at us. It comes out in your dreams. Like myself included, I have had dreams where I've got multiple crazy things going on that are unreal. And I'll wake up like, what in the world did I dream? Like, it was crazy. Like, it makes no sense, So, yeah, it's crazy how that works. So my mom says, I say, no, we went to sleep last night oh, no, at 1 a.m. But she was sitting up watching her cartoons. She knows when I put her in the bed in there with the nightlight on that she has no choice but to go to sleep. She snuggles up beside me. Oh, that's cool, Mom. And I'm definitely assuming you did not feed her that last cupcake. I bet you anything that last cupcake that nobody ate during my visit with you got tossed in the trash. I can't blame you for that, Let's see here. So our next question would be for the 7th card, which stands for the crawfish here, which is this guy right there. And the question is, what is emerging from the depths of my soul? Because remember, this crawfish is coming from the bottom of the pond. So he's arising from the bottom, coming out to the top, and he's just now making contact with the land. And that's why Sasha Graham's question is, what is emerging from the depths of my soul? And here, again, it's a nod to our issues and emotional trauma. I had to try to say it like I've heard it on social media. Emotional trauma. Here what we're seeing is this figure, not looking at us, but the gaze is casted down here. And there's 3 cups that are overturned. There's nothing left there. These are our past failures, mistakes, things that we're grieving. Again, it's a 5. With 5s in tarot, you've always got some sort of conflict, right? And then we've got the 2 upright cups that hold potential, but yet the figure's not looking at the cups with potential and moving forward. Instead, their focus and mind is very much focused on these cups that lack the potential. They're no longer good. They do not serve them in any way, shape, or form. They're attached to them. And this is a Star Wars reference. You have to let go of these attachments, is what Yoda recommended in these movies. It only is a conduit. It's a way to the dark side, right? Which here he is with that black cape. And I love black, but it's symbolic because look what it did to Darth Vader in Star Wars, right? So if only our person would be like, this was a lesson. And I learned from that lesson, and I don't intend to repeat that mistake again. Even though I'm human, I'm going to screw up because I'm human. I know this. But then turn around, pick up the other 2 cups, and then cross that bridge and see that pretty home in the background? Go home and start again. And be with people who love you and care about you instead of being all by yourself, with these issues. Because each one of us does this. We all have stuff that we grieve. And I see my husband's on here. Hi, Tim. And my mom says, no sweets, period. Not even her stars, Mom? Are you not giving the stars? Or I think she had some cereal she was eating, too. Because I know that has some sugar. I'm just curious. Or even her juices. Are you giving her any juice? And then our last card would be standing for the path. So that would be the path that we see here, right? And so the question is, where will this new illumination lead me? And we have the Tower. I love the humor with tarot. It kills me every time. That's why I cackle. This path, because we're working on ourselves and we're tearing down these 2 towers that we built up from carrying our own issues, our failures, our mistakes that we're hard on ourselves or possibly even other people about, we're breaking these things down, right? But this is going to take some time. So it's going to show that life's going to happen despite our best intentions on our journey. And yeah, we got free will. We can make our own decisions. But then again, we got to deal with the lightning that might every so often will build our towers up. And it might actually be a sound structure. But then if it's got a flawed foundation, it's got to come down. So I feel like this is our whole life. Because if you look at the moon card, it leads to the mountains, guys. We're not going to this like flat, sunny area. We're taking a path straight to the mountains, coming out of the uncertainty that comes with the moon card. So of course we're going to have turmoil, chaos, disruption. But again, the beauty of it is that we can keep rebuilding, and we're going to become pretty damn good at rebuilding at this point. Okay. So yes, I think that's the beauty of the Tower, because we surely don't want to maintain healthy or unhealthy patterns. Ideally, as we go along in life, we want to adopt healthier ways of thinking and viewing the world and interacting with others, And my mom says, well, yes, the normal, nothing like cake and candy and cupcakes. I'm sure it helps not having her auntie there with her family, bringing in all these cupcakes. But I have to say, me and you were on the same page. It was nice before she turned into a little gremlin to see her eating that pink cupcake. It was very cute to see her fill her little face with that cupcake, But I would definitely say, and I know you will, just bring it up with her doctor. Get their viewpoint on what may have happened with her, because gosh. And for many of you, if you guys haven't seen my other Go Live, as I was recently visiting my mom with my family, and, I always go to the grocery store, to pick up a couple things, And I saw these cupcakes. I told Tim I want to get Belle a cupcake because in my mind I saw her little hand smashing that cupcake and at least playing with the texture. My hopes weren't up that she would eat it because, you know, she's so particular. My fault in this was at 9:30 at night. I had a hankering for a cupcake, you know, and so I had one, and we decided to give Belle one, which is my little niece. You know, she turned 1 year old on October 16th. So she's just over a year. She's progressing a bit with her age. So it won't be long, she'll be 2. But she got this little cupcake, and actually, she first took a little bit of my icing off mine. I was sitting right by her. She's on the love seat where I sit by my mom. And I sat down next to her, and I gave her a little bit from my finger. She ended up putting my entire finger in her mouth, and that's what led us to giving her the cupcake. So I got to get the story right. We put her in her high chair. We give her her own cupcake. She started off kind of slow looking at it, but then she tore into the dang thing, and she was double fisting it, eating it. So, you know, I was sick with my colds. I took NyQuil about 10 and went to bed because it knocks me out. And the bad thing is my little niece kept my mom up to like 4 a.m. that night and was like wired up, had all this energy. So, yeah. So I was good and a bad influence that night. I was both, you know. So I think years down the road we'll look back and we'll laugh at this story. I think my mom's still recovering from sleep deprivation. And having me and my family visit, which offsets routine as well. So I think she's recovering from the visit and from my niece. I'm keeping her up, so, you know. And I see Teresa's on here. Hi, Teresa. I was just talking to my mom about my little niece keeping her up after getting sugared up on a cupcake. So let's see, my mom says she looked over at my phone and saw you and she had the biggest smile and started laughing. Oh, little pumpkin. But it was cute to watch her eat that cupcake and it was worth it. But she'll get no more until October the 16th, her birthday. But it's okay for her aunt. Oh, let's see here. Hang on a second. Let me close this off here. Let's see. We'll just keep turning on. I don't know what this computer's doing. But it's okay for her aunt to spoil her when you see her. Yeah, no, that's one of my jobs, Mom. I spoil them and leave them. That includes going to bed for the night while you're up with her. And I did feel bad about that. I didn't know. I think if any of us knew, I don't know, we probably wouldn't have done it. Or if we were going to do it, we would have done it earlier on in the day instead of at night, you know. So, very cool. So, I think this is the gist of this spread. And of course, if you have any questions or reflections on tonight, let me know. And I think it wraps it up. And Teresa, it is nice to see you on here. That's my mom's best friend. They go like way, way back, from back when I was young. When I was a teenager, they've been friends for a long time. So I will talk to you guys later, and thank you for your time. It means the world to me, as always. And I hope you have a restful evening, and I'll see you later. Good night.